Our goal is to educate and inform our local community of the benefits of the mesquite and the fruit it produces once a year. With the purchase of the hammer mill and trailer, we'll make it possible to travel to different areas throughout the Rio Grande Valley. Of all the mesquite grown in the United States, 76% is grown in our state of Texas. The native Indians of the South Texas Plains use mesquite bean flour as part of their staple diet. In 1528, Alvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca was shipwrecked along the Texas Gulf Coast, then escaped to a Spanish outpost in Mexico. He journaled that native Indians pounded mesquite bean pods into a powder. They added earth and water and made a patty, which was a staple meal for them. Dr. Gary Paul Nabahan, an agricultural ecologist and ethnobotanist and author whose work has focused primarily on the plants and cultures of the desert Southwest. He is considered a pioneer in the local food movement and the heirloom seed saving movement. In 1979, Dr. Nabahan participated in the study of the effects of legumes in the Papago and Pima Indian diet and ecological niche. One of the findings in the study showed that mesquite beans were an important part of their native diet, which played a role in their once healthy lifestyle. Several years ago, after researching the benefits of the mesquite bean, I found this amazing organization online, Desert Harvesters. This grassroots nonprofit organization is based out of Tucson, Arizona. Desert Harvesters promotes local food by encouraging the planting of indigenous food-bearing perennial plants such as the mesquite. Desert Harvesters also educates the public on how to harvest and process the bounty. They conduct guided harvest and put on an annual mesquite milling and wild food fiesta. This fiesta provides milling services to the public and other organizations. They also provide wild native food demonstrations and consulting services and give public talks. After much interest in our mesquite business, we decided to make a trip to Tucson, Arizona for their 15th annual mesquite milling and fiesta. We visited with many volunteers and learned about the importance of planting native edible plants. We also learned how they mill their mesquite bean pods into flour with their hammer mill number 5. We enjoyed learning how they partner up with the local food bank and farmers market. They had samples of different types of recipes using mesquite bean flour and pods and shared them with the public. They also had about 20 different species of mesquite to look at and taste. All the volunteers with Desert Harvesters answered questions on how to mill and store mesquite. They also encouraged the local cultural heritage and to rediscover the foods their people traditionally consumed until as recently as the 1940s. In addition, they discussed the potential health benefits of traditional desert food, also the agricultural and economic factors that strongly favor their production. This is something that we hope to duplicate here in the Rio Grande Valley. We were able to visit the Arizona State Museum, and there we learned more about the native Indians and how they implemented mesquite meal in their daily diet. Many of the local restaurants, coffee shops, and breweries have implemented mesquite into their menus. how the University of Arizona is utilizing their native plant.
The Mesquite Bean project started as a working group of individuals across the university, from dining services, from the Office of Sustainability, and then from some people in the community. And what they wanted to see was a harvest that would turn a waste stream on campus, basically all these pods that have to be raked up every day, into a useful product. Some intrepid people decided to come out and help us, and we're picking the beans off of the trees and we're weighing them to see how much each tree produces, so we'll have a better idea of where to go next year. Basically, they're going to be frozen for 48 to 72 hours at least. After the beans are frozen, they'll be taken to a long-term storage location, which will be humidity controlled because they have to be kept dry. And then when they're ready to be milled after the monsoon season is over, they'll be brought out. We're going to sun dry them in some greenhouse space that has been lent to us by the Campus Ag Center. All of our flour is going to be given to dining services, and they're going to be very scientific about the process. They're going to do taste tests and recipe development. They're going to try to incorporate the mesquite flour into existing menu items and also create new ones. Mesquite flour has this nice nutty flavor. It's got a very low glycemic index. It's gluten-free. It's kind of a nutritional powerhouse. And we hope to have the mesquite products sort of as a seasonal availability type thing, hopefully running starting from the tail end of this coming fall semester until at least spring break, depending on our yield. So give students enough time to get used to it, decide if they like it, what they like, they don't like, give us time to talk about the project and the benefits of the process. The mesquite tree is ubiquitous in the Southwest. People see them everywhere, and this is something that a lot of people don't know about, that they're actually edible. In a climate where we're moving toward a more sustainable future, the Office of Sustainability wants to see the U of A become a leader, and that can be everything from changing out light bulbs to harvesting from our own campus and local sustainable food. It's tasty, it's fresh, it's here, and it's been picked by your own students and friends and colleagues, so I think that's very exciting.
Through advertising and educating through social media on my mesquite bean endeavor with Cappadona Ranch, I was contacted by Sandy Goyali out of Austin, Texas area, who is also fairly new to the mesquite bean business. Sandeep has partnered with Barton Springs Mill, where he bakes bread using mesquite bean flour. Sandeep also sells mesquite beans to local breweries, spirits, and wineries. He shared how he had exhausted his mesquite bean resources in the Austin, Texas area and contacted Cappadona Ranch for help. Cappadona Ranch was able to help Sandeep fulfill a 1,000-pound order of mesquite beans by locating a dozen people willing to work who needed the money. We feel this could be a new source of income for people here in the Rio Grande Valley, where mesquite trees are plentiful. Sandeep was one of the 2016 Grant Award winners for the Austin Food and Wine Alliance. His goal is to continue and revitalize the local grain economy in Central Texas by purchasing a universal mill to reestablish access and use of mesquite bean flour. Using locally foraged and native mesquite pods, Sandeep will provide the first commercially available source of locally foraged mesquite flour in the Austin area, reintroducing the native food of historical and current importance. Sandeep informed me of another mesquite bean entrepreneur from Oahu, Hawaii, by the name of Vince Dodge. Vince educates the local community of the benefits of the mesquite. In Hawaii, they call mesquite kiawe. We packed up our bags and made a trip to Hawaii to see the mesquite trees that cover all of the Hawaiian islands and to meet Mr. Dodge. We made plans, but unfortunately when we got there, they were in the middle of harvest and they needed to gather as much mesquite as they could. Vince invited us to help harvest and talk, but unfortunately we could not fit it in. With this being said, we were able to see how mesquite trees grow in Hawaii and how mesquite trees got to Hawaii in the early 1800s. It was interesting to see old and new mesquite trees growing through the volcanic rock. That just goes to show how tough the mesquite tree is. benefits of the honey mesquite that grows in abundance here in the Rio Grande Valley are endless. Help us rediscover what our native Indians knew and used and bring it to the new generation here in the Rio Grande Valley and beyond. Through classes and seminars, we can educate the local community on how to utilize all these edible native plants that grow here in the Rio Grande Valley. With your help and guidance, we can also figure a way to conduct local research and development on our native plants and more to help our local diabetic community. Let's get back to our roots.